A teenager once told me he was inheriting his uncle's yacht. Knowing him as I did, I sadly didn't believe him. But it didn't matter. He had a record of somewhat alternative truths, each relatively harmless. I told him I thought he'd look real cool at the helm, steering it into port. It served no purpose to call him out on it right there. Better to pick a moment like that carefully. There was more going on there than a fib. As he walked away, a thought suddenly occurred to me. He was telling me his truth, just not with his words. He was telling me he wanted to be seen as special. He wanted me to believe that he was loved. I assume because he thought himself neither special nor loved at all. A lot of raw honesty came from his little tale. I've never forgotten it. How much of the truth we hear is factual? Probably not very much. But there is a truth locked inside its cage of words. It comes from the person telling it. Separating most of our basic daily untruths from outright lies for a moment, let's consider the following about the more innocent ones. Recognizing that truth is subjective and often mistreated by even those we love and trust the most helps us let go of our ego a bit when noticing we're probably not getting all the facts as they occurred. If you listen honestly, you get a sense of what's probably real. If you pay attention, you'll start to see a pattern. Remember what it feels like to be insecure, for we've all known it. Ask yourself why that person might need to tell you a story in this way. Wonder what the moral of that story truly is. Be compassionate with what you discover. They don't realize they're being this vulnerable. They're working so hard to make sure that your view of them is better than their view of themselves. They don't realize how accidentally honest they're being. Use that knowledge wisely and kindly. This advice is more for you than them, really. For how they come to terms with their own identity is not likely solved by a confrontation about fibbing. That's only a symptom of larger issues. They probably need more assistance than you can give them, but give what you can anyway. Be at peace with them first, right where they are. That's the best way to transform anything we're challenged by toward the best possible version of themselves. Gently nudge them forward. Don't push them off a cliff. Pride and ego make too many decisions for us. When we've been deceived, we behave in all sorts of unhelpful ways. It's not that we shouldn't respond when people lie, prevaricate, mislead, exaggerate, or even fib. And we must also leave room for the near universal fallibility of human memory. But we should more purposefully consider our real goals when responding to intentional untruth. Our goal should be to achieve the highest number of safe, happy, healthy, prosperous people on the planet as possible, which means that our job is to rehabilitate when we would rather retaliate. Be efficient with your actions. Make sure they always reflect what it is we truly want out of life. Before you met it out, consider if the punishment you plan to give will move the needle toward the goal or not. In other words, will the punishment you're planning on giving solve the problem? If it won't, consider another method. Solving the problem is the real goal, not just feeling better and venting our anger at the problem by locking it up and pretending it doesn't exist. Remember that head-on confrontations don't usually end up well. Be smart and strategic when addressing untruth. Remember your principles and use them to help you respond with wisdom rather than react in anger. Try to listen honestly when others can't speak it. Listen to their heart. It's much easier to understand the language of the heart than the mind anyway. It has a vocabulary of only 2 words. They are love and fear. Protect yourself with knowledge and as much inner peace as you can muster, rather than wasting energy maintaining a wary stance of distrust. It's too much work. The armor's too heavy. Let it go. Truth isn't always truthful, but it's okay. Because surface facts are not always the part which matter most. Know the difference and make a principled choice for each. Hold people accountable for outright lies, however, because they are intentional misdirections meant to shield the truth about one person or group, often at the expense of harming another. They're used to create personal gain and avoid responsibility. They are a theft. A lie is a literal sin against right relationship. A lie is a foundation of sand for anything ever built upon it. Bring it into the light. It has no beneficial role in society except in its discovery. But still, handle those moments with emotional restraint. We get so mad when people lie to us. While we have a right to our anger, we mustn't decide how to handle a lie or even a simple fib with rage. Keep it all in perspective. Be gentle, kind but firm. Be consistent in your principles and patient with both yourself and others. If you spend your life seeking lies, you will always find them. If you spend it seeking truth, you just might find some of that as well. Be at ease now, and breathe. As you inhale a bit more slowly and deeply than normal, picture yourself on a quiet sidewalk, walking at a comfortable pace. It's morning. The scent of sunrise is still in the grass and cement. You're walking a dog on a leash. It's a happy dog, trotting along merrily beside you. His tags clink gently around his neck, and his tongue hangs out to the left. The following mental exercise is a metaphor based on a true story. And breathe. Consider why the dog trots along with you. It's on a leash, but the leash is slack. He's walking beside you by choice right now. Imagine a sense of peace and enjoyment at that fact. This dog does not always choose to walk beside you. Be grateful at his choosing to do so now. It remains along beside you because it wants to. And breathe. The dreaded moment arrives. A squirrel darts up a tree 100 feet ahead of you. You instinctively brace your body to act as an anchor against the dog who will be aggressively pulling you down the sidewalk a second from now. The lunge occurs, and you feel the tension in your shoulders as the leash snaps taut. Breathe deeply and exhale fully. The dog pulls so hard that you wonder if it's worth the squirrel's life to dislocate your shoulders. But this dog has never caught a squirrel before, you realize. Nothing has ever occurred in these moments but sore shoulders. You realize suddenly that the problem has been coming from your desire to control an outcome. Your control of the dog is an illusion. It is controlled by its own choice to obey or not. And breathe.
take another deep breath, and as you exhale, let go of the leash. Allow now for the dog to run. It bolts down the sidewalk with abandon and freedom, nearly crashing into the tree with enthusiasm. The squirrel has long been safely out of reach. Nothing the dog can do will harm it. It comes trotting back to you. Breathe smoothly for a few moments now. It is the next day. You notice that you're holding the leash differently, not prepared to hold the dog back any longer. It's only hooked loosely in your fingers. When the squirrel comes, the dog is free to pursue it. Feel a sense of enjoyment in watching the dog bound forward in joy. The squirrel is safe, as are your shoulders. And breathe. But this time something is different. This squirrel is only a baby, and the dog is gaining on it. You regret immediately the choice to allow it to run. You run after it, fearing the worst, and breathe. As you reach the tree, you realize something surprising has occurred. Never having caught a squirrel before, the dog doesn't know what to do. Neither does the squirrel. They are facing each other. The dog's nose to the ground and the squirrel's paw touching it. They are frozen with uncertainty, as are you. And breathe. All is well. The young squirrel climbs up the tree unharmed. The dog forgets it as you breathe a sigh of relief. Some things cannot be controlled. Some things cannot be predicted. As it should be. Be at ease. Assume all shall be well, for it already is. Namaste.